Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Show, brought to you by Over the Bar. We are tuning in tonight for our end of season awards evening, and as you can see, we've got a panel of tip-top experts joining us for the last show of the season. Very happy that we've got a full quartet of, well, maybe if you exclude me, of experts. How are we all doing tonight, gentlemen? Thank you, Rune and Peter, for jumping on as well. Looking forward to a great show this evening.
Yeah, thanks. Doing very well. Looking forward to the show and to looking back at a pretty spectacular season.
I second my Bully News colleague, Rune. It was a great season and looking forward to the show.
Yeah, likewise as well. Obviously, Peter over in the great city, as you can see as well behind you. So, yeah, obviously, it seems a bit weird. I'm in his homeland and he's in my homeland. So, yeah, let's see how it goes tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just a little bit of admin before we get into it and run into exactly how the show's gonna go this evening. Well, first and foremost, as we always say, if you can indeed, there we are, leave a comment, as we go along. I can see Justin's already tuning in. Thank you, Justin. So make sure you, get involved and don't be shy. Have your say on everything that we say and go through this evening. Leave a thumbs up on the show. That would be lovely. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be plenty more stuff coming out over the summer. And we'll confirm that as and when, but this will be pretty much the last of it for mainstream Bundesliga stuff, at least for a little while. So for tonight, we've got a load of different awards that we're just going to go through. More kind of mainstream ones. We've got a few funnier ones. We've got Team of the Season, all those kind of different bits and bobs. But if you're interested in having, some weird and wonderful different awards, have your say, suggest things, and we'll try and have a go at doing them. So if you've got any interesting ones, pop them in the comments, and we'll run our way through them. I think we used to have some alternative ones back in the day, Mark. I think we had the best haircut once or twice, which was quite interesting as well to go through. But yeah, we'll be going through all the main ones this evening as well, and everyone will have their say, and of course make sure you do as well whilst you're watching. Without further delay, we'll get our first award of the season, of the evening rather, underway. I'm going to kickstart with the Breakout Star, otherwise known as Young Player of the Season. We're all going to have a go, and I'm kickstarting this one, but I'll go around the houses, and then I'll maybe have my say last. So, chaps, Breakout Star, give me your named candidates, and then just a little short sentence, because obviously with these sort of things, we're always conscious of time, as to why you have picked them. So I'll hand over to Mark, you first for your Breakout Star.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit unsure with this one, really, because the way I see it is it's got to be obviously a player that's young, but it's also got to be a player that's kind of, it's the first season, like at the highest level in my eyes. So that kind of informed my choice in this particular award. But I've actually gone for Bayer from Hoffenheim for this particular award. I just think the young man, absolutely fantastic season in my eyes. Obviously 16 league goals, called up for the prelim squad for Germany as well. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Obviously, last season played a couple of lone years in the Zweiten Bundesliga. This one might be a little bit of a kind of left field choice, you might say. But for me, I think there were some other really good young players in the league as well. But for me, if we talk about real breakout star, I've really enjoyed his performance this season.
Very good. Did you say his name? Did I miss that? Did you say
Bayer?
Bayer,
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I said it a little bit too early there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Good shout. That. Over to you, Rune. Who's your breakout star?
I'll go with Xavi Simons. Mainly because it was his first season in the Bundesliga. He proved himself in the Eredivisie last season, but took a big step forward at RB Leipzig. Looked really impressive right from the start. Quickly established himself as a key player. Got 8 assists and 8 goals and 13 assists in the league. I think he turned out to be the attacking talisman, much like Florian Wirtz was at Leverkusen. Wirtz could also be the young player of the season, but I don't think he's a breakout star because he's been so good for several seasons already in the Bundesliga. But yeah, I think Simmons really provided a spark for Leipzig, so went with him.
Yeah, like that. Peter, who have you gone with?
Well, I wasn't sure, and this happened last year as well.
Oh, you just muted yourself, Peter. One sec.
Sorry.
There we go.
All right, perhaps I'll start from
again,
scratch. Yeah, I had this problem a little bit last year. The breakout star and the young player of the season could theoretically be a different person. In terms of the breakout star, I wanted to give a shout out to Guirassy, who no one expected this season. He quadrupled his market worth. He scored 28 goals. And this was a player that people tend to forget could not help Köln avoid relegation some 5 years ago. He was not good enough for the Köln starting lineup. But in terms of a young player who is also a breakout star, I'm going to stick with Stuttgart, and I'm going to go with Angelo Stiller, who was given the unenviable task of replacing Wataru Endo at the beginning of the season. We tend to forget that at the beginning of the season, Stuttgart sold Mavropanos, they sold Borna Sosa, and then the Legendo himself, the captain himself. And Stiller he became, difficult as this is to fathom, he became an actual new Wataru Endo in that he could play almost anywhere and everywhere over the pitch. High up in attacking midfield, in defensive midfield, anchoring as a sweeper, also even as a central defender. And he, in terms of getting on the score sheet, he just had the 6 assists and the 1 goal. But he was among the highly graded players in pretty much virtually all of the German press sources. The only reason he's not on the national team is because of, well, for obvious reasons, there's so many talented midfielders. Excellent selections by everyone. I'll select Stiller as my breakout star.
Sure. Oh, I do like a VFB pick, that's for sure. Right then, for my pick, I have also gone for Xavi Simons. For everything that what Rune said was just the bright spark in a Leipzig side. Oh well, that had quite a lot of bright sparks in the end, actually, but just showed his quality. Just a constant player, played 32 games, obviously in the calendar, well, in the season, showing great levels of consistency and availability whilst playing in Europe and, other competitions. Just enjoyed his entire game all the time. So, yeah, I've gone for Xavi Simons on this occasion. So, I guess if we're doing things officially and we have to have an overall, we'll give it to Xavi Simons for the vote of 2, but two other great picks as well from Mark and Peter. Right, Mark, you're going to talk us through our next award.
Yeah, let's do it. So obviously the best signing of the season. So obviously it's got to be a player that was signed at some stage this season, either in the summer transfer window of 2023 or the winter January transfer window of 2024 as well. So yeah, let's start with you, Rory. Who are you going to plump for this one?
I found this one of the hardest ones to pick. My list of honourable mentions is ridiculously long, but so I struggled to nail it down. And I picked this player, and he was up there for my player of the season overall as well. But I'm going to go for Granit Xhaka as my best signing. I think he's he formed a formidable centre midfield partnership in the first place with Ezequiel Palacios in that Leverkusen anchor, and then obviously later on he would partner with Andrić really well. His leadership qualities, I think, were exactly what Leverkusen needed in such a season. At times, the rare times when they were maybe in distress in matches. He's played a lot of big games and brought that kind of quality. Not only did he bring leadership and great industry on the pitch. We know about his tackling, his great coverage, and endless endurance. Scored some great goals and important goals as well in a Leverkusen team that never knew how to be beaten apart from the one time. And yeah, my list of honourable mentions is endless, but I don't want to nick someone else's, so I'll keep my mouth shut until later on. But yeah, my pick for best signing, Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. And what about you, Peter? Are you on a similar kind of lines, or have you gone for someone else for this?
Absolutely. Granit Xhaka is my pick as well. He was the most significant summer signing. And his leadership qualities, as Xavi mentioned, I mean, look, anybody who spent the season watching Leverkusen absolutely were, and this isn't something I admit lightly, I mean, he was almost just on a different level than this entire league. And the important goals, the times that he came forward and scored some excellent distance goals, that was just amazing. We wouldn't be discussing this historic Leverkusen season without Granit Xhaka. List of honorable mentions is, of course, long. If you want to go with the January transfer window, I think there can be little question that Nadia Miri was the most influential player for Mainz. But Xhaka wins hands down. I mean, he's a cut above the rest.
Yep, so that's 2 votes for Granit Xhaka. What about you, Rune? Who have you gone for?
I went with Alex Grimaldo. I think Xhaka is a great pick as well, but the fact that Grimaldo arrived on a free transfer also has some weight for me. Everyone knew he was a solid player at Benfica, had shown pretty good performances in the Champions League and everything, but I don't think anyone expected him to be that good when Leverkusen got him on a free transfer. 10 goals and 14 assists as a wing-back. I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. So yeah, it was a tough one with Xhaka as well, but the fact that they got him for free, Grimaldo, that's just insane, I think, and really, really good scouting as well. And credit to Xavi also for making him work so well in his system and getting that many goals out of him, because that was special, to say the least.
Yeah, and quite ironically, they were my 2 top picks as well. But I actually went with the 2 gentlemen on the right side of the screen as well. I went with Granit Xhaka because I just think it's the leadership as well, and the way he kind of marshaled that midfield and just everything together. For me, he was the key player. He was the kind of linchpin that held it all together. But I would agree also with Rune's suggestion that Grimaldo was definitely a close second for me. I mean, a free transfer. I remember in the summer, myself and Peter were questioning why they let Mitchell Bakker go. I remember that. And we were like, this guy's better be good, this Grimaldo. And my God, was he good. But I think we have to give it to Granit Xhaka just simply because of the quality, the leadership, and obviously he scored the winning goal in the cup final as well. So yeah, can't really get much better than that. So yeah, our best signing of the season is that man. It's Granit Xhaka. So yeah, over to you, Rory, for the next award.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do next is we'll go to player of the season, because obviously when we come to do things like team of the season, we know obviously certain players are probably going to come up more often and it'll probably be less of a shock. So I think it's important to do this one next. So, right, player of the season. Yeah, let's go into it. And I will go to Peter first for your player of the season, please.
Well, on the topic of scouting, I'll give a shout out to my Bully News colleague, Rune, who we've been doing this for about 4 years now. And immediately when he first saw Florian Wirtz as a 17-year-old make his debut for Leverkusen, he knew right away that this was going to be an incredibly, he was going to be a once-in-a-generation type of player with his dribbling skills, with his ability to just intuitively know how to set up goals. And, you know, coming back from that horror injury that could have derailed his career, I think that was incredible. He set up as many goals as he scored, and that was true in the league, 11-11, in the Pokal, 3-4, and in the Europa League as well, 4-4. So I think that look, you could pick probably anybody from this Leverkusen team, but Flo Wirtz, I think, was the best, smoothest, most amazing player that we saw on the Bundesliga pitch this season. I don't.
Me next. Yeah. Okay. All right. I go. Yeah. So yeah, I've actually gone for the same as Peter, to be honest. Yeah. For me, it had to be. A lot of people say obviously that man Harry Kane, who maybe people might mention, but for me, the player of the season has to come from the league winners ultimately. And I agree. I think there were so many players from that Leverkusen side. As we mentioned, Xhaka could have been a mention, Grimaldo, even Frimpong. Jonathan Tah could have had a possible say as well. But for me, Flo Wirtz was the one that provided that magic, and some of the goals he scored, which I'm sure we'll talk about later for goal of the season as well. But like just the consistent quality he proved either from the start or off the bench, for me, he was the greatest player of the season individually. And obviously he's going to be great to watch in the Euros as well, which I'm sure Peter is going to be pretty excited about too. But yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be Flo Wirtz as player of the season.
Yeah, and Rune, your pick.
Yeah, the same. Florian Wirtz. For me, it had to be a Bayer Leverkusen player as well. It was probably between Xhaka and Wirtz, who I feel were the most important players for Leverkusen. Every time one of them wasn't on the pitch, it was noticeable, I think. And Wirtz was the attacking talisman. When the other players ran out of ideas, they could always give him the ball and he'd come up with something. And with all the responsibility he carries on the pitch, it's easy to forget he's only 21 years old. And as Peter pointed out, the way he fought back from that horror injury is something special as well. So credit to him.
Brilliant stuff. Yep, full house for Flo Wirtz. Excellent season. I was looking at his stats today, and aside from all the kind of obvious ones, obviously his goal impact and his general skill, and the stuff that really stood out for me with things like still the distance he covered. I think he was just around the top 25 in terms of players covering ground this season. Top 25 is still decent enough. I know it's not out there. Player with the most efforts that hit the woodwork as well this season, and top 10 in sprints made and things like that. Some interesting ones that I picked out aside from all the goals and assists as well. So, yep, well done to Florian Wirtz. And right, Mark, we will now do the next award, and I'll hand over to you for manager of the season.
Yeah, so I know some of you guys kind of get annoyed when we say manager because obviously that's the British word. I know that some people prefer trainer or head coach, but yeah, let's call it the manager considering me and Rory are British. But yeah, it is like head coach / manager basically that we're going to be looking at here. So yeah, obviously a lot of choices to pick from in this particular award, a lot of really impressive performances from managers this year. So go on, we'll start with Rune. Who have you gone for your manager of the season?
Had to be Xabi Alonso for me. I don't really think it makes sense to pick anyone else than him. Although Sebastian Hoeneß especially deserves a lot of credit for what he done with Stuttgart. Would probably have won the award in other seasons. But I think based on what Leverkusen did to the league to go through the season unbeaten with Leverkusen, the whole journey Xabi has been on with Leverkusen, taking them from basically the bottom of the league when he took over to the very top without losing any games, playing excellent football for large spells of the season. I think he deserves all the recognition he's getting. So Xabi in first place with Hoeneß coming in second for me.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Leverkusen are doing pretty well this evening, doesn't it? Which is not too much of a surprise. But yeah, what about you, Peter? Who have you gone for this one?
Oh, of course. I mean, Xabi was, we were so hyped and psyched about him at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you remember when I held up the Elf Freunde where they talked about him being the best trainer in the league. And he really lived up to his reputation. I mean, the manner in which he rotated that squad and got so much productivity out of it across all competitions is insane. And okay, the Europa League final, there were some questionable tactical decisions, but that's apart from that, I think there was one time in like match day 7 or 8 or something there where he made something that was questionable. Tactics heads absolutely love Xabi. We love watching the Leverkusen games. We love it when around the 60th, 70th minute, he would hand somebody, usually Xhaka, a little slip of paper to give them like the last minute tactical reordering. Hoeneß is an excellent choice. Who would have won it in any other year. I will also give a shout out to Rune's Bo Henriksen for saving Mainz from relegation. They have been saved by a Dane again.
I told you. Remember, I said he would save them.
Yeah.
Well, he's not only just. We're just so happy to have him. So pleased to have him in German football. He's a colossal clown. He's a total boob. They call him Rumpelstiltskin in Mainz. So he's going to be our next cult trainer. But I mean, Xabi, it's God, wow, amazing through and through. I'm sure it's a full house, Rory. I mean, is it or?
It's a full house. Yeah, I can't go against Xabi. My other honourable mention, Hoeneß second for me, but my other honourable mention is Frank Schmidt for Heidenheim. Incredible season played by the Bundesliga newcomers. His side have been an ultimate breath of fresh air in this league and thrown into Europe next season, which is just wild. I think they deserve massive credit as a team, but Schmidt itself as long-standing head coach of Heidenheim. But yeah, Xabi is my pick.
Yeah, full house, basically. Yeah, Xabi Alonso, unbeaten domestic season. What more can you say? I agree with you, Rory. I was going to mention Frankie Schmidt as well. He definitely deserves a lot of credit to finish 8th as a newly promoted side in the Bundesliga. And pretty much everyone had them down as bottom 3 as well, to be honest. I think when we did our pre-season predictions, most people had them down as, real strugglers this season. And they've not only stayed up, but obviously qualified for Europe as well while playing attacking, entertaining football. So, yeah, that was great to see. I think, yes, Torup as well, at least before the last 5 games, deserves credit as well. He improved that Augsburg side until probably the last 5 games where they fell away. But yeah, definitely, I think those 4 or 5 are the ones that really deserve the credit. So yeah, over to you, Rory, for the next one.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to work through probably the most amount of time of the show. So it's going to be our team of the season. We may all kind of slightly vary in terms of formation, in terms of how we go. So all we're going to do is we're just going to go from position to position and share our picks for any different reasons. We may be kind of measuring it slightly different. So let's be honest from the start of it. The team of the season is just basically Leverkusen with a few extra players. So that is, fact. So what we'll maybe do is offer different opinions here and there as we go along through it. I've picked a second 11 myself as well, just to throw out there, just to kind of avoid constant clashes as we go along through it. But either way round, let's just start off with our goalkeepers for our team of the season. So, Mark, quickly, who are you saying?
Yeah, I've gone for Hradecky, actually, as the keeper of the season.
Hradecky. Rune, who are you thinking?
Gregor Kobel from Dortmund.
Okay, Kobel. All right. All different ones so far. Peter?
Rory, I did it just like I did last year. I insisted, I imposed the rule upon myself that I could only select one player from each side.
Okay.
I have to warn you about that one. My pick is, and this was very challenging. I kept a 4-3-3 formation, but my pick, my Stuttgart slot go to Alexander Nübel. So he was second to Hradecky in clean sheets. He's revived his career. He's going to the European Championship as one of 4 goalkeepers, and I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see him play in the championship should Neuer be injured. I think Nagelsmann is going to bump him up to 2. So yes, Nübel takes my Stuttgart slot, and oh Lord, it's very, very difficult to build a team after that.
Yeah, there's a lot of players that you can't use now. Okay, well, for what it's worth, in both my first team and second team, I would have backed exactly who you just mentioned, Peter, Newbill. And great credit, I think, has to go to Radetzky, because he's a player that I hammered at the start of the season and I've never been a huge fan of, and he has become this season. Well, he's been so reliable for Leverkusen, and you could see the difference in that Europa League final when, unfortunately, Kovar didn't look as comfortable in net for different reasons. But yeah, I've gone for Newbill in net myself. I don't think we'll build up a team here together because it will be so convoluted of different opinions. So that's fine. We'll go free reign on this one. So defenders, right then, for your back four or however many defenders you picked, Mark, we'll go to you again first.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too cliche, but I've actually gone for 3 out of the 4 Leverkusen as well. Actually, I think the 2 fullbacks for me were no-brainers. I think honourable mention to Maxi Mittelstädt as well at Stuttgart. I was going to go for him, but for me, Grimaldo simply had to go in there. Basically, it's as simple as that. And also Frimpong on the right side. So they were my 2 fullbacks in the 4-3-3 formation. And then centre halves, I went for Jonathan Tah, who I just think has rebuilt his career as well. I think he's been amazing. He looks like a shoe-in for a starting spot in the Germany team as well. And I've actually gone for Valdemar Anton as well alongside him. I just think he was rock solid as well in that central defence. And you could probably have gone for Tapsoba or Kosunu even in there as well. But I feel as though Anton, Stuttgart deserves some mentions in this team as well because they were so good as well. And for me, they were the second best team, and Anton was vital to that defence in my eyes.
Yeah, very good. That matches up exactly with what the official Bundesliga back four was. Rune, what have you got? Any changes?
No, same back four. Very much agree. Tah and Anton were just big rocks for Leverkusen and Stuttgart at the back, respectively. So, and Grimaldo and Frimpong, just pretty self-explanatory. Nothing to discuss there. So, same back four.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it matches up exactly with what the Bundesliga one was. That was my official line. I have a second string team waiting, but I'll go to you, Peter, for your interesting back four that we're now going to be presented with.
Tah makes my back four and takes my Leverkusen slot.
Wow.
The Benjamin Henrichs takes my Leipzig slot at right back. Ian Maatsen, despite playing only half a season, takes my Dortmund slot at left back. And that leaves me with Robin Koch pairing with Jonathan Tah from Frankfurt. I think Koch quietly put together, he had some high-profile errors, but he quietly put together a good season. And that's why he's been called up to the national team as well. So of my back four, I do have 3 German Euro representatives in Koch, Tah, and Henrichs. And Maatsen, I have to throw in there. He was the best left back. Mesraoui did a good job at left back this year as well, but I can't give my Bayern slot away.
Well, out of my second team, you picked 3 of my 4. To be fair, there, Peter, I didn't have Koch. I had Hummels in there as well. But yeah,
nothing wrong with that. That's also a good fit. It is a great pick.
Yeah. Grand. Okay, so we'll move on to midfielders, and we'll stick with the same order as we're going through. Actually, we'll mix it up just in case people steal each other. So, Rune, I'll go to you first for your midfield trio, if it is 3.
I picked 4 midfielders.
Oh, you went 4. Sorry. Yeah.
So 2 central midfielders and 2 attacking midfielders, and my 2 central midfielders are Granit Xhaka and Angelis Stiller, who I think kind of played similar roles for the teams. The midfield linchpin, making it all work and tying everything together, picking up the ball, defense, and moving it forward. Always available for teammates who didn't know what to do with the ball, and made sure they passed it on to a teammate and kept possession. 2 very important players there in central midfield. And then my two attacking picks are Xavi Simons and Florian Wirtz. Two great young players and very similar roles as well. I think those two provided the creative spark for each of their teams, attacking wise, and just two very creative players with great futures ahead of them.
Excellent stuff. Okay, Mark, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, so I went for the 4-3-3. So obviously a few of these players are not necessarily out and out like central midfielders, but two of them are. I agree with Rune. I also went for Stiller and Xhaka too. I actually thought Stiller would be a bit of a kind of left field pick, but a lot of people seem to have obviously recognised he's been amazing this season as well. And then I've also gone for Xavi Simons as well. Yeah, as a kind of attacking flair. I mean, obviously he could potentially come further forward as well. You could put him in a front three potentially, but for me, he played more of a midfielder a little bit further back. So that's my central three for this season.
Excellent. Peter, have you gone for a three in midfield?
Yes, I adhere to the 4-3-3. And obviously my midfield is the weakest. I wouldn't play my midfield against any of your midfields. So as sort of an anchoring midfielder, I have Maximilian Arnold from Wolfsburg, who did supply some nice little set piece stunners on a couple of occasions this season. So he still can get the magic off the dead balls. Rocco Reitz, despite having a better year for country than for club. He wasn't consistently deployed by Gerardo Seoane, which I think is pretty much more on Seoane than on Reitz. Is slanted left. And then, well, this is an interesting pick, Romano Schmid from SV Werder Bremen, whom I've consistently found to be an impressive player, and was shocked that he was in the, I think he made three of the Bundesliga teams of the week. I didn't realize that he had made it in there so many times this season. But he also had a halfway decent season as well, and is a force for Bremen for whatever that's worth. I mean, Bremen not a spectacular team, but he scored 4 goals and put in 7 assists and played 33 of the matches. So. Yeah, it's a weak midfield, but that's Wolfsburg, Gladbach, and Bremen slots in there.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, but yeah, interesting ones. My alternative 3, I went for Furyk. I went for Jan-Nicolas Bester, who I'm shocked didn't make your team, Mark. Absolutely shocked.
Yeah, I was gutted, but there's just so many good players from Leverkusen and Stuttgart. Yeah. That was the problem. Yeah, it kind of broke my heart not to include him, but what can you do?
Yeah, this is strictly my second team, I have to say. And I mean, he probably shouldn't be in the second team. If I was playing a 4, this player probably would have been in it. But it's Stoiger. Just watching last night, it just showed his class and importance to this Bochum side, and a great reason why they're still in the division. He has just produced endlessly for them this season, and put together a fine individual campaign. So yeah, I went with him overall. Right then, of course, to our strikers we will finish on. Well, Peter, I'll give you the lead on this one. Let's go to you first of all and see who you've got in store for us.
Well, I mean, it should surprise no one that the Bayern slot had to go to Harry Kane, who played a fantastic season. And it's almost criminal that he has not picked up a trophy, nor will he have a chance to get one early next season in the TFL Super Cup.
What about England? You forget in England. Yeah.
Oh,
come on.
Well, actually, if he takes the crown in our country, that almost serves us right for the manner in which we treated him. But obviously, Kane. I mean, he had an incredibly prolific campaign. Can't wait to watch him in the Bundesliga for many, many years to come. We're incredibly appreciative of him. He arrived a year late to save Julian Nagelsmann's job and and probably Hansi Flick's as well. I had to get a little bit creative with my other 3 forwards. Jan Nicholas Besta he is my left slant forward. He does play there naturally, so he made the team. He was my Heidenheim selection. And Mark's choice for the breakout star of the season, Maximilian Bayer. To my knowledge, he never played slanted right, but he did play slanted left, and he did play behind the striker. So I've got him slanted right. He did have a fantastic season as well. So Kane, Besta, Bayer are my 3 picks for strikers.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Mark, you're free.
Yeah, so I've agreed with Peter. I mean, we've got to pick the England man, haven't we, Kane? Even though there were a few criticisms that a lot of his goals did come against the likes of Darmstadt, Mainz, when Mainz weren't playing that well. You know, a lot of those hat-tricks did come against those kind of teams. But at the end of the day, goals are goals, you know, and he did have a brilliant season. And for long periods, it looked like he would break that record before obviously he missed the last couple of games and also kind of went off a little bit the last 5-6 games, I would say, in terms of form before that little knock that he took. But it's still an amazing season. I've actually gone for Wirtz in the front 3 as well, because simply because I kind of had to, basically, because we've got to have a team with him in for me. And then I've also gone for another Stuttgart man, my 3rd Stuttgart man. It's obviously that man, Serhou Guirassy, you know, who just put in a magnificent season, 28 goals despite missing I think 5 or 6 games as well due to the AFCON and injury. So pretty much he averaged a goal a game, which is just ridiculous really for any player. And just the quality provided was unbelievable. Obviously Undav obviously was unlucky to miss my team really in many ways too. There were so many good attacking players this season, and as Rory said, it does hurt me not to include Besta, because I've been a big fan of him since pretty much before the season started really, and he's just a great player. But yeah, that is my front 3. For me, they are the 3 best. Obviously, Openda deserves a mention as well, because he got 24, 25 goals too in his maiden season in the Bundesliga.
Yep. Rune, over to you for your front 2.
Yeah, I picked Kane and Guirassy. That was kind of the main reason why I wanted to play with 2 strikers, because just didn't think it made sense to do a team of the season without those 2 in it, and I wanted them both. So, but yeah, Mark found a great way to fit Guirassy in as well, because yeah, they both deserve to be in the team of the season with all the goals they scored. Yeah, amazing season for both players.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, what a season it was for Kane and for Guirassy. In my strongest front 3 was Kane, Guirassy, and Undav. I found room for him in my team. My second string team had Openda, Bayer, and Šeško in it. So yeah, just great forwards. Very much spoiled this season with a number of excellent attacking players the whole way around. That's what we're used to in the Bundesliga. And it was certainly the case this season. So yeah, those are our teams of the season, not necessarily a joined up one, but yeah, I mean the strong ones pretty much line up with what was officially announced on the Bundesliga website, to be honest, bar a few slight amendments. Great stuff. Right, a couple to go. Right, over to you, Mark, for the biggest flop.
Yeah, so this is obviously one that I always enjoy, because this one tends to get a few different opinions as well, because I think a lot of, we've had a lot of kind of consensus today really with our teams of the season, our managers of the season, our players of the season, signings. But this one could potentially get a few more kind of left field and disagreements in this one. So go on, let's start with you, Rory, for this one. Who have you gone for the biggest flop? Or biggest letdown for those of you that don't know the word flop?
Yeah, me. So, well, for reference, me and Peter had a delightful meetup today for everyone that's watching. The first time ever in not so sunny Sheffield, and this is actually one award that we talked about ever so slightly. It's definitely between 2 players for me, and I haven't quite made up my mind. I'm going to have to side with Bonucci, I'm afraid. I just think it was a signing that never made sense. It was an exciting signing. And, I probably went onto social media and voiced how very exciting it was to have such a legend come into the league through Nyon, bringing experience. But after quite a while, it just seemed quite clear that it was a disaster. He played 7 games, I think it was, maybe a couple in Europe as well. Gave away a penalty quite early on in his time, which anyone can do. But obviously there was something not right off the field as well. Just the characteristics maybe of the player didn't fit with Union as a club. They were, a number of different signings perhaps Union did not get right last summer. And I think there was obviously this other player for me that was similar levels, but for Bonucci, just as big as his name it was coming to the league, I think that's what made it that extra level of disappointing. The fact that he was this amazing defender and player who's had a career, and he'll be so well remembered, but he won't be well remembered for his time in Berlin because it was nothing short of disaster. And he obviously left in January. So that kind of sums it up perfectly. So that's why Bonucci was my biggest flop of the season.
Yeah, very good shout indeed. Can't disagree with that one. So go on, Peter, tell us who was your flop of the season.
I'm going to go with Rory and say Bonucci, because his style of play, when he tried to bring the Italian style of play to the Bundesliga, it was nothing short of a total embarrassment for him. And this was his first club outside of Italy. So he tried to bring that Italian. I remember we were talking about it on one of the pods of the season, how Bonucci just decided he could get away with a certain tackle, and Dennis Eideken said, no, it's not going to fly in the Bundesliga. Obviously, Rory and I were discussing, as Rory alluded to, the fact that Naby Keita is so close. It's hard to separate the two of them. Keita actually had some spark at AFCON, and he had some support from his club and his trainer as well, before the incident in which he walked out on the team. But you never know. I mean, he's still there on a contract for another year, I think. I mean, it's possible that he could stay and enjoy a revival with the club. So Keita has to come second to Bonucci after giving it some thought. Rory and I had the discussions. I would like to add that one that nobody seems to be mentioning much is Rami Bensebaini, whom we thought would really be a force at left back for Dortmund. So that's my distant third honorable mention. I'll turn it over to Rune and see what he thinks.
Well, kind of looked at it in a different way, because I put a lot of weight, gave the price a lot of weight to the fee that was paid to bring the player to the Bundesliga, and I went with Kim Min-jae from Bayern. Actually had a fairly good first half of the season, but looking back at the whole season, I don't really think he never really settled in. Basically, also if you look at the kind of expectations there was for Kim to come in and dominate and be the new defensive boss, never really lived up to that. And at the latter stage of the season, he actually turned out to be a liability at the back and lost his place. And I think in light of the big fee Bayern paid to sign him, that makes him a big disappointment for me. That's a lot of money for a Bundesliga club. And actually, another Bayern player that I would like to mention is Sasha Bowie, who was just, I think, they were kept looking for a right back, just couldn't get the ones they wanted. Got more and more desperate, and then brought him in on the last day of the January transfer window. Obviously, he's been struggling with injuries, but the minutes I saw him play for Bayern, I just immediately had the feeling that he didn't have the level to play for the club. Kind of like Bouna Sarr gave me that same feeling when I first watched him play, but of course he can prove me wrong next season. Bensebaini and Lucas Mekta from Dortmund, I also think. Felix Mecha, from Dortmund, are also worth mentioning.
Yeah, and it seems a few people agree with you as well. A nice comment in from Irish BVB as well. Benzabaini is a great shout. I hope I never see him in the Schwarz and Gelb again. Wow, that's a pretty bold comment there from Irish BVB. But thanks for your intake as well. Yeah, I've actually gone for, I didn't think people have mentioned it so easily, but I've also gone for Bonucci, actually. I just feel as though me and you, Rory, were so excited when he first came in, weren't we? And we thought it was a massive sign and a kind of statement of intent for them. But I guess he was just too old as well. I think he was 37, and for the first time playing abroad at the age of 37, it is tough, and he looked really, really bad. And to be honest, as soon as I saw this category, my first thought was Union Berlin, to be honest. I just feel as though, you could also say Folland was a massive flop as well after big expectation. Yeah. You could say that even Goossens didn't exactly pull up any trees, did he, in truth? I mean, obviously his first time playing in Germany as well, and I just felt as though, for me, it was underwhelming, I would say. Maybe not a complete flop, but he definitely underwhelmed for me. And I think me and you have mentioned it, Rory, haven't we? That we both feel as though Union need to go back to basics next season. Maybe, reduce that wage budget again and get some of those guys off the wage budget, basically. And yeah, for me, I think, and I totally agree with you, Rune, as well. I think that's a great shout on Kim as well, because nobody can say he performed as what people are expecting after coming in from that great Napoli side last season. So yeah, I think we can say Bonucci is the flop of the season, but some really good shouts as well in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bonucci gets it overall. Yeah, good shout from Justin. Elmas was on my list, my lengthy list actually. Some other honourable shouts from me. Datro Fofana absolutely deserves to be on there. What do we think to Berisha, the forgotten man? I thought, well, obviously, I mean, a lot of it's down to injury, but Berisha barely played. I don't like to say it, but Junior Adumu for Freiburg, what happened there? I think they're looking to move him on now. And one other one, I might say his surname wrong, but Attila Shalai. Who came under a lot of good reputation, and he was loaned out as well in January, and then never got played by.
He's had a nightmare of a season, hasn't he? Yes. Really, yeah.
The Goossens one, Mark, that hurts the soul. I guess I didn't even think of that because it would hurt my soul too much to think about that. But yeah, so many, and Union, Fofana. Another great example, I think, who got off to such a wonderful start and then was had his loan canceled. So it was really that's a great category this year, I would have to say, because so many players came out of nowhere this year. You're talking about these attacking players. Last year we were discussing Nicholas Füllkrug winning the goal scoring title with 16 goals, and now we have all these stars that sort of come out here of nowhere and an unbelievable amount of flops. I mean, it was just a totally unexpected season.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, on to a slightly more enjoyable. It's always an interesting one doing flop, isn't it? And yeah, Justin, I was very disappointed by a lot of players. I still got players on my list I haven't even named. But we'll move on. Best goal then. I think they've just released their candidates on the official Bundesliga website, which were interesting. I had a number of them in my head anyway, but I'll wait to go through everyone's. So, Mark, over to you first for best goal of the season.
Yeah, I watched a few really good highlight reels to kind of rejig my memory on this one, and there really were, as always, really some absolutely brilliant goals this season. But for me, I'm a fan more of the kind of skillful goals rather than the strikes from distance. There were some brilliant strikes from the likes of Lacroix, from Gruder, from obviously Harry Kane from halfway. I don't want to mention some of your goals, but for me, there were two that stood out. And to be honest, it's very hard to pick between these two because there were similar kind of goals, actually. And they both came against SC Freiburg as well.
I knew you were going to say that.
For me, I think all of you have gone for the same. But yeah, it was Musiala's absolutely brilliant individual attempt where he went past about 5 players in the area and then slid that brilliant shot past the keeper. But I've actually gone, just because it's him, just because it's Leverkusen, I've just slightly gone for Flo Wirtz as well. That strike against Freiburg in week 9, when he picked the ball up, right on the byline. He just basically dribbled past the entire Freiburg defence and smashed in a great strike. Past Atabolu, I think it doesn't say much about Freiburg's defence maybe this season. Obviously, they did get a lot of criticism as well for their defensive performances this year, but for me, they were just world-class individual goals from 2 world-class players, really, who are both going to be lining up for Germany in the Euros as well. So people who say Germany have no chance had better think what they're saying again, because they definitely do have a chance if those kind of players can perform in that way.
Absolutely. Over to you, Rune, for your best goal.
Yeah, I picked the same goal, the Florian Wirtz goal against Freiburg. I just loved the way he kept twisting and turning, and they just couldn't get a hold of him, and the fake shots he did, and it's just really effective dribbling as well. It wasn't just show-off dribbling. Worked well too. Didn't do more than he had to before unleashing a really powerful shot. So that was a really lovely goal.
Excellent stuff.
Peter, who have you gone for?
Well, I looked at the official Bundesliga highlight reel, and yes, I took the liberty of writing it down. That was Wirtz versus Freiburg on match day 9, Musiala versus Freiburg on match day 24. It's funny. I mentioned, Rune and I, for years, he was always big into Wirtz, and I was always big into Musiala, and we like them for the same reasons, because they're just fearless sometimes in taking on 8 or 9 defenders at a time, and the Germans can't wait to see them play on the same axis in the Euros. Probably the only hope we really have. But my actual pick for the goal of the season is the Ezequiel Palacios 1-0 that we got at 90+4, Leverkusen Augsburg on match day 17. You may recall that we came back from the winter break, and it was. I like the winter break. I like watching Premiership over the winter break too. But the great thing about German football is you have that Winterpause, and you come back and you're all hyped and psyched, and you're ready to go. And on the topic of what Rune and I were discussing, we were talking about that. That was Leverkusen Augsburg, and that goal came at 90+4. Grimaldo assisted on Palacios's goal. And we were talking just after that, and that was the moment, I think, not only did Rune and I know, but a lot of German football watchers knew that everything was going to break Leverkusen's way this season. And that was indeed the start of the whole Leverkusen, a series of goals. So the first match back in the new calendar year on match day 17, when Leverkusen snatched that late winner, I think that was truly the goal that served as the turning point of the season, when we knew that Leverkusen were going to win this title.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, there's 2 other ones I want to pick out. I'm going to give it to Jan-Niklas Bester for his free kick against Hoffenheim, the one that's on a really narrow angle, and he absolutely belts it. I love brilliant free kicks, so that really spoke to me into the top bins. So yeah, Bester for me gets it. I really, really liked Kramaric's goal quite recently. Was it against Bochum in the cup? Yeah, and the game where he brings it down and just knocks it over. I suppose it would have been Riemann in net with the perfect lob. That was beautiful. Absolutely love that goal. So Bester for me. Overall, it goes to Flo Wirtz for the best goal of the season. Right. So we were thinking of maybe doing Blooper, but there wasn't loads for me this season, and we're running out of time slightly. But gents, before we do finish, you've all 3 got an award, because I've made them up myself before the show, and you're all going to receive an award. Isn't that exciting? So I will kickstart with Mark, your award this season. And your awards is the I Told You So award for getting the prediction of FC Köln's relegation exactly spot on early on in the season, where we were doing our fun predictions. To which I think we got only about 3 correct exact positions.
Yeah.
The 2 relegated ones were spot on. We got Darmstadt, but your shout was definitely of Cologne getting relegated. And so, yeah, you took a bit of flack for it early doors, and then you were able to say a number of times since, I told you so. So, yeah, absolutely well done.
Thanks, Rory. Anyway, yeah. And don't forget the as Balam always says, I was the one that coined the famous phrase, "Jabby is cooking." What was it? Can you smell what Jabby is cooking? Or something? Big Balam, if you're watching it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one as well.
Don't forget.
Right. The next award is for you, Rune, and surprisingly, it's not actually fantasy football related. You are going to be the recipient of the Bow Selector Award, of course, for your great prediction when we were doing one of the shows, saying Bo Henriksen will come in, he will save minds, he will do a great job. We were literally talking about it earlier, weren't we? And yeah, great shout. The man's come in and done an amazing job. So yeah, I wanted to give you props for that pick. It certainly was, a great bit of noticing, and obviously.
Thank you to Bo Henriksen as well for being such an amazing human being.
And we've got 2 Bows back, obviously, with Bo Svensson now going to be the head coach of Union next season. We look forward to that. And then Peter, your award for the season is going to be the FM Manager Award of the season. So this is basically the award for, let me check my notes as to what I wrote it down as. The awards for always picking up on every and any formation change or mistake that was made all season long by any coach or manager. When someone moves from a 3-4-1-2 to a 4-3-1-2, or I'm just making it up basically. But anyway, your tactical analysis all season long has been outstanding. So yeah, Footy Manager Award goes to you as well, Peter.
Thank you very much, Rory. I'm touched. Absolutely.
I'm so glad. Right then, so we're pretty much out done for time. This, like we said at the start of the show, is going to be our last main one anyway, for a little while, as the season has now come to an end. Me and Mark might jump on here and there just for breaking news and bits and bobs from a Bundesliga perspective anyway. There's still plenty of content that's going to be coming out on the channel. Maybe some Euro bits, obviously Football League shows, and anything in between. So make sure you keep an eye out. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone that's watched with us through the whole season, whether you're new, whether you've been with us for all these different years. It's been another outstanding season. It's been my favourite one to date. It's been a long season. We've done so many shows. I don't think we've missed any really. So it's been another consistent year for everyone. So thank you to Rune and Peter particularly for helping us out all the way through and ensuring that we've kept going throughout the season and hopefully even more strongly into next. And obviously, Mark, I'll let you have the last word as well.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed what you saw, then don't forget to check us out on Twitter as well. Don't forget that we're not only a YouTube channel as well, we're also a podcast, which will be entitled in the notes as well, the description for this show. So don't forget to give us a rating on there as well if you prefer to listen there than on here. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As Rory already kind of mentioned, we do still have stuff coming for you. This will be the end of the 2023-24 season. I'm getting behind a little bit. But yeah, myself and Peter will be in the Bundesrepublik for the Euros as well, which starts in just like 2.5 weeks' time now. So yeah, I will be going to hopefully a couple of games as well, and potentially vlogs coming from that. And obviously we've got a few warm-up games as well and things like that coming up. So we're not quite sure what we're going to do for it, but there could be something on the channel as well for the Euros. Also, Dave and some of the other guys from the FLW are thinking about potentially jumping on as well. So we're not completely done for the year yet, but obviously as for the Bundesliga stuff, we will join you again in probably around about late July, early August, around that time to kind of catch up for the next season. But thanks again for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and we'll see you again for the next show. See you then, guys. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.